You know what's funny about trust? You build it grain by grain over 2 years, then watch it disappear in a single phone call. I'm sitting here in a rented room above a noodle shop, staring at legal papers I can't read, wondering how a man my age got so stupid about love. The worst part isn't losing the money. It's realizing I gave away my future to someone who saw me as nothing more than a walking ATM with feelings. If our stories resonate with you, don't forget to like, comment, and tell us where you're watching from. This story was shared with us by one of our viewers who reached out after watching our channel for months, hoping his experience might save someone else from making the same mistakes. I had it all figured out, you know. 52 years old, 28 years of construction work in Perth behind me, and enough in my retirement fund to disappear somewhere cheap and warm. Thailand wasn't my first choice. I'd been backpacking through Southeast Asia for 6 months, just drifting, when I met Boozerin at a coffee shop in Siam Square. She wasn't like the other girls. Fashion model, she told me, with this quiet confidence that made you want to lean in closer. Tall for a Thai woman, maybe 5'6", with this way of moving that reminded you she was used to cameras following her around. When she laughed at my terrible attempts at Thai, it felt genuine, real. "You travel alone?" she asked, stirring sugar into her latte with these long, elegant fingers. "Always have," I said, more honest that way. She smiled at that. Honest is good. Thai men, they lie about everything. Money, other women, their mothers. We talked for 3 hours that first day, about her work, about the modeling industry in Bangkok, about how she was saving money to maybe start her own fashion boutique someday, about my construction business back home, how I'd sold it 6 months earlier to fund this whole adventure, how I was looking for somewhere to settle down, maybe buy a little place, live simple. "You should come to Chiang Mai," she said when I walked her to her motorbike. "I have family there. Beautiful mountains, cool air. Not like Bangkok, too many. People here, too much noise." Something in the way she said family made it sound warm, inviting, like belonging to something bigger than myself. I'd been alone for so long that the idea of extended family dinners and Sunday visits felt like stepping into someone else's life. A better life. "Maybe I will," I said, and meant it. She texted me that night. "I go to Chiang Mai next week for family wedding. You want to come? I show you real Thailand, not tourist Thailand." I should have been suspicious of how fast things were moving. But when you're 52 and divorced and tired of eating dinner alone, fast feels like a gift, not a warning. 2 weeks later, I was standing in her cousin's backyard in Mae Rim, watching the mist roll off the mountains, thinking I'd found paradise. Chiang Mai wasn't Bangkok. It was slower, quieter, with this old-world charm that made you forget about traffic jams and concrete towers. Buzzerin's family welcomed me like I'd been part of their lives for years. Her Aunt Maylie cooked these incredible curries, her Uncle Chai taught me to play Thai chess, and her grandmother kept pressing fruit into my hands while speaking rapid Thai that Buzzerin would translate as, "She says you're too skinny, need to eat more." "Your family is amazing," I told Buzzerin one evening as we sat on the porch watching fireflies dance between the banana trees. "Thai family is everything," she said. "We take care of each other, always." That's when I started talking about my retirement money, not bragging, just sharing, how I'd worked my whole life for this moment, this freedom to choose where I wanted to spend my golden years, how I had about 300,000 Australian dollars sitting in the bank, earning nothing, waiting for me to decide what to do with it. "You could buy a beautiful house here," she said. "Land is cheap, construction cheaper. You could live like king for a fraction of what costs in Australia." The idea took root that night. Living in Thailand, building something permanent, having Buzzerin by my side. For the first time in years, I wasn't thinking about the past or worrying about the future. I was present, planning, dreaming. "I want to show you something," her cousin Somchai said the next morning. He was younger than Buzzerin, maybe 25. With this easy smile and perfect English he'd learned working at tourist hotels. Beautiful. Land, perfect for Falang who wants peace and quiet. The plot was about an hour's drive into the hills, 5 acres of rolling green with views that stretched to the horizon. Ancient teak trees lined the borders, and a small stream ran along the eastern edge. Standing there, I could picture everything. A modest house with wide verandas, maybe a small garden, a place where I could wake up to bird songs instead of construction noise. How much? I asked. Somchai and Busarin exchanged quick words in Thai before he answered. For you, special price, 4 million baht, about 180,000 Australian dollars. It seemed reasonable, more than reasonable. Back, home that wouldn't buy you a parking space in Perth. But there's problem, Busarin said quietly. Foreigner cannot own land in Thailand. Government rule. My heart sank. Of course there was a catch, there always was. But, Somchai continued, there are ways. Company structure or Thai person holds land in trust. Very common, very safe. I help you with paperwork, make everything legal. Busarin squeezed my hand. I could hold it for you, as your girlfriend, as someone who loves you. When we marry, it becomes our land together. Marriage. She'd said it so casually, like it was inevitable, already decided. Standing there in that perfect spot with this beautiful woman talking about our future, it felt like the universe was finally giving me what I'd been searching for my whole life. Over the next few months, everything fell into place so smoothly, it felt scripted. Busarin helped me extend my tourist visa, introduced me to local expat communities, even found me a small apartment to rent while we sorted out the land purchase. She handled all the communication with lawyers and government offices, translating documents, explaining procedures, making everything simple for me. Thai bureaucracy very complicated, she'd say, whenever I asked to sit in on meetings. Better. I handle it. You just relax, enjoy Thailand. I started transferring money in smaller amounts first. 5,000 for soil surveys, 3,000 for environmental studies, 10,000 for legal fees. Every transaction came with official-looking receipts and documents covered in official stamps. Somchai would show up with progress reports, architectural sketches, permits that needed processing. Everything moving very fast, he'd tell me. Officials very cooperative when they know foreign investor is serious. Busarin and I grew closer during those months. She'd stay at my apartment most nights, cooking Thai food, teaching me language, sharing stories about growing up in Bangkok. When I had nightmares about my ex-wife or woke up anxious about money, she'd hold me until I fell back asleep. You worry too much, she'd whisper. Everything will be perfect, you will see. I believed her, I wanted to believe her. When you're building a new life with someone, doubt feels like betrayal. The final transfer happened on a Tuesday morning in March. 160,000 Australian dollars, wired to Somchai's account for the land purchase. I'd already sent 20,000 for various fees and permits over the previous months, bringing my total investment to 180,000. My entire retirement fund, minus about 30,000 I'd kept for living expenses. Today we become landowners, Busarin said, kissing me before we left for the lawyer's office. The he. Signing ceremony felt important, formal. Multiple copies of contracts in Thai and English, official stamps on every page. A lawyer who spoke enough English to explain the basic terms. Busarin would hold legal title to the land, with a private agreement naming me as beneficial owner. When we married, the land would transfer to joint ownership automatically. Congratulations, the lawyer said, shaking my hand. You are now owner of very beautiful property. Walking out of that office, I felt taller, prouder, more accomplished than I'd felt in years. I owned land in Thailand. I had a beautiful girlfriend who loved me. I was building something permanent in paradise. Tonight we celebrate, Busarin said. I cook special dinner, we make plans for house construction. We spent that evening sketching floor plans on napkins, talking about solar panels and rainwater collection, arguing playfully about whether to build one story or two. She wanted a traditional Thai-style house with high ceilings and wide verandas. I wanted something more modern, with air conditioning and Western-style bathrooms. We compromise, she said. Thai-style outside, Western comfort inside. Best of both worlds. That night, making love in my small apartment, I felt like the luckiest man alive. All those years of failed relationships, financial stress, working jobs I hated, it was all leading to this moment. This woman, this land, this new chapter of my life. I should have paid attention to the small changes that started happening a few weeks later. Busarin began coming to my apartment less frequently. She'd arrive with new jewelry, new clothes, expensive items that seemed beyond what a struggling model could afford. "Modeling job pay very well this month," she'd explain when I noticed a designer purse or gold bracelet. "Fashion week in Bangkok, many clients." Somchai became harder to reach. When I called about visiting the land to start planning construction, he'd make excuses. Busy with other clients, waiting for permits, rainy season making roads impassable. "Everything takes time in Thailand," Busarin would say. "Cannot rush government people. Better to wait, do everything properly." I started having dreams about the land, but they weren't good dreams. I'd be standing there in the morning mist calling for Busarin, but she wouldn't answer. I'd walk the property boundaries, but they kept shifting, expanding and contracting like the land was breathing. I'd wake up sweating, confused, with this nagging feeling that something important was slipping away from me. "Maybe we should visit the property this weekend," I suggested one Thursday evening. "I want to walk the boundaries again, get a better feel for where to position the house." Busarin was putting on makeup, getting ready to go out with her modeling friends. She paused, lipstick halfway to her mouth. "This weekend not good time. Cousin very busy and roads still bad from rain." "We don't need Somchai. I remember how to get there." "Kelvin," she said, turning to face me, "you don't understand Thailand. Cannot just go to property alone. Need permission from village headman, need local guide. You could get lost or worse." There was something in her tone I'd never heard before. Not concerned, not protective, irritated. Like I was asking for something. Unreasonable. "I'm just trying to understand the process," I said. "It's a lot of money and I want to make sure everything's moving forward." "You don't trust me?" she asked, her voice getting sharper. "After everything I do for you, you think I lie to you?" "Of course I trust you. I just want to be involved. It's my investment, my future." "Our future," she corrected. "And I handle everything perfectly. You just worry and make problems where no problems exist." She left that night without kissing me goodbye. For the first time since I'd known her, I went to bed alone and angry, staring at the ceiling, wondering when being in love had started feeling like being managed. The next week I met another Australian expat at a coffee shop in the old city. His name was Doug, maybe 60 years old, with the weathered look of someone who'd been in Thailand for decades. "Been here long?" he asked, noticing my obvious foreigner status. "About 8 months," I said. "Bought some land up in May Rim, planning to build a house." His expression changed slightly. Not alarm, exactly, but concern. "You did the company. Structure route or nominee agreement?" I explained my situation. Thai girlfriend holding the land in trust, private agreement giving me beneficial ownership, plans to marry and transfer to joint ownership. Doug was quiet for a long moment, stirring his coffee. "Mate," he said finally, "I don't want to rain on your parade, but those nominee agreements aren't worth the paper they're printed on. Thai courts won't recognize them. If your girl decides to keep the land, there's nothing you can do about it. But we have a legal contract, signed in front of a lawyer." Did the lawyer explain that the contract violates Thai law? Foreign ownership through nominees is illegal. You signed an unenforceable document. My stomach dropped. That can't be right. My girlfriend wouldn't lie to me about something that important. Doug's expression softened. "Look, I hope I'm wrong. I hope your girl is different. But I've seen this story before, and it doesn't usually end well for the foreign guy." I spent the rest of that day in a haze, walking through the old city, trying to process what Doug had told me. Maybe he was wrong. Maybe he was bitter from his own bad experiences. Maybe Busarin and Somchai knew something he didn't. But that night, I started doing my own research. Internet cafes, expat forums, legal advice websites. Every source told me the same thing. Nominee agreements were illegal and unenforceable. Foreign land ownership was strictly prohibited, except through legitimate companies with substantial Thai business operations. When Busarin came over the next evening, I was ready for a serious conversation. "I need to ask you something," I said, "and I need you to be completely honest with me." She was checking her phone, only half listening. "What is it?" "Is our land agreement legal?" I've been reading about nominee structures and everything I find says they're not enforceable. She looked up from her phone and for just a moment, I saw something flash across her face. Fear. Guilt. It was gone so quickly, I might have imagined it. "Who have you been talking to?" she asked. "Does it matter? I just want to understand what we're doing." "You've been talking to bitter expats who failed in Thailand," she said. "Men who married bar girls and got cheated. Our situation is different. I love you. I would never hurt you." "Then let's go see the lawyer together. Get clarification on the legal status." "Why you want to make problems?" she snapped. "Everything." "There's fine. You just listened to wrong people and now you don't trust me." We fought that night, really fought, for the first time since I'd known her. She accused me of being suspicious and controlling. I accused her of being evasive and secretive. She stormed out around midnight, leaving me alone with my doubts and fears. I didn't hear from her for 3 days. When she finally called, her voice was different, colder. "We need to talk," she said. "Meet me at the coffee shop where we first met." I knew before I got there that it was over. Not just our relationship, but everything I'd built my hopes around. She was sitting in the same chair where I'd first seen her, but she looked smaller somehow, younger, more fragile. "I have something to tell you," she said without preamble, "about my work." My heart was already racing. "What about it?" "I'm not really a fashion model. I mean, I do some modeling, but mostly I work at a karaoke bar. High-end place, good money, but not what I told you." The words hit me like physical blows. "You lied to me. About your job for 8 months? I didn't want you to judge me. Foreigners hear karaoke bar and they think bad things. Think you're prostitute or gold digger. Are you?" The question came out harsher than I intended. Her eyes flashed with anger. "I never sell my body, never. I sing, I talk to customers, I drink with them, nothing more." "But you lied about something fundamental. What else have you lied about?" She was crying now, but it felt manipulative rather than genuine. "Everything else is true, the land, the plans, my feelings for you. I just lied about work because I was scared." I wanted to believe her. Part of me still loved her, still wanted to fix this, to go back to how things were. But Doug's warnings were echoing in my head, and for the first time, I was seeing Buzzerin. Clearly, really seeing her. "I want to visit the land," I said, "this weekend, with or without you. Kelvin, please, don't make this harder than it has to be." "Harder than what has to be?" She didn't answer. She just gathered her purse and stood up. "If you love me, you'll trust me," she said. "If you don't trust me, then maybe we should take a break." She walked away, leaving me sitting in that coffee shop, watching my future dissolve like sugar, in rain. That Saturday, I rented a motorbike and drove to Mae Rim alone. I had the address, coordinates from GPS, photographs from our previous visits. It should have been easy to find. But after 2 hours of driving through hills and valleys, asking directions from confused villagers, I couldn't locate the property. Every dirt road looked the same. Every hill seemed familiar but wrong. I stopped at a small village store, showed the elderly owner my property documents and photographs. "You know this place?" I asked in broken Thai. He studied the papers for a long time, then called over several other villagers. They had a rapid conversation in northern Thai dialect, pointing at my documents, shaking their heads. Finally, the store owner spoke to me in careful English. "This land? You sure you buy this land?" "Yes, 3 weeks ago. Official documents." More discussion among the villagers. Then the store owner pulled out his phone, made a call, spoke for several minutes in Thai. "My nephew work at district land office," he told me. "He check computer. This land not for sale. Belonged to temple for many years. Temple land cannot be sold." The world tilted sideways. "That's impossible. I have documents, signed contracts." "Maybe you show nephew documents. He check everything for you." An hour later, I was sitting in a small government office, watching a young Thai official examine my property papers with growing concern. He made several phone calls, consulted computer databases, compared stamps and signatures. "Sir," he said finally, "these documents are forgeries. Very good forgeries, but not real. This land belongs to Wat Doi Suthep, has belonged to temple for over 100 years. Cannot be sold to anyone. I felt like I was underwater, everything muffled and distant. The lawyer who handled the transaction, the office where we signed the papers. We check address. No lawyer office at that. Location is empty building rented by day for private meetings. The young official's voice was gentle, sympathetic. Sir, I think maybe you are victim of fraud. You should report to police immediately. But I knew reporting to police wouldn't help. Somchai was gone. The money was gone. The documents were worthless. I'd been played by professionals, and I'd made it easy for them by wanting so badly to believe. I drove back to Chiang Mai in a daze, trying to process the magnitude of what had happened. $180,000, my entire retirement gone. But worse than the money was the betrayal. Buzarin knew. She had to know. She was part of it from the beginning. That night, she called me. Kelvin, I've been thinking about our fight. Maybe we can work things out? I went to the land today, I said. Silence on the other end of the line. The land that belongs to a temple. The land that was never for sale. The land I bought with forged documents. More silence. Busarin, are you there? I can explain, she said finally, her voice barely a whisper. Then explain. Meet me at my apartment, not on the phone. I almost didn't go. Part of me wanted to just disappear, catch the next flight to Australia, pretend none of this had ever happened. But I needed to hear it from her. I needed to understand how completely I'd been fooled. Her apartment was in a modern complex I'd never seen before. Expensive cars in the parking lot, security guards, marble lobby. Not the kind of place a struggling model or karaoke hostess could afford. She answered the door in a silk robe, her face puffy from crying. Behind her I could see designer furniture, art on the walls, a lifestyle that should have cost more money than she claimed to make. How long? I asked before she could speak. Kelvin, please come in. Let me explain everything. How long have you been planning this? From the first day we met. She sank onto her expensive sofa, covering her face with her hands. Not from the first day. The first month I really liked you. I thought maybe we could have something real. But then you found out about my money. Somchai said it would be small amount. Maybe 20,000-30,000. Enough to solve some family problems, not enough to hurt you badly. Family problems? My mother sick, needs operation. My brother owes money to dangerous people. I was desperate, Kelvin. I never wanted to hurt you this much. I sat down across from her, trying to reconcile this broken woman with the confident, elegant person I'd fallen in love with. You let me give you everything. My whole retirement, my entire future. When you kept talking about more money, more investment, Somchai said, why not take it all? Said you could afford it, that you were a rich foreigner who wouldn't even miss. Joyce, I worked 28 years for that money. 28 years of getting up at 5 a.m., working in the heat, saving every penny I could. I know. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But her apologies felt empty. Practiced. How many other men had she said these same words to? Where's the money now? Gone. Somchai took his share, paid the people helping us, sent money to my family. I kept some, but most is already spent. And Somchai? Back to Bangkok, maybe left Thailand, I don't know. When police start looking, he disappears. We sat in silence for several minutes. 8 months of my life. 8 months of believing in love and second chances and new beginnings, reduced to this conversation between a fool and a criminal. Did you ever love me? I asked. She looked up at me then, and for a moment, I saw something real in her eyes. I tried to, I wanted to. You were kind to me, gentle, different from Thai men, different from other customers. But love and money, they don't go together well. Money always wins. So what happens now? Now you go back to Australia. Start over. Forget about Thailand, forget about me. I can't go back to Australia. I don't have money for a flight, I don't have money for anything. That's when it really hit her, I think, the full scope of what she'd done. She'd left me stranded in a foreign country with no resources, no safety net, no way home. I can give you some money, she said quietly. Not much, but enough for ticket. Home. I don't want your money. I don't want anything from you. I stood up to leave, then turned back one more time. Was any of it real? The family dinners, your grandmother, the dreams we made together. The family was real. They liked you. They didn't know about the plan. But you knew. Every time you held my hand, every time you talked about our future, you knew you were lying. She didn't answer. She didn't need to. I walked out of her apartment and into the Thai night, breathing in air that no longer smelled like freedom and possibility. It smelled like exhaust fumes and cooking oil, and the sweet rot of tropical flowers past their prime. The next weeks were a blur of survival. I sold my camera, my laptop, my good clothes. I moved from my comfortable apartment to a room above, a noodle shop, 200 baht a night, shared bathroom down the hall. I contacted the Australian embassy, but they could only offer advice, not financial assistance. I was on my own. Finding work was harder than I expected. Teaching English required certifications I didn't have. Construction work was available, but the pay was barely enough to cover food and shelter. I was 52 years old, competing with 20-year-old backpackers for jobs that paid survival wages. The anger sustained me for the first month. I fantasized about tracking down Somchai, about exposing Busarin to other potential victims, about somehow getting justice. But anger is exhausting to maintain, and eventually it faded into something grayer and more permanent. Acceptance, maybe. Or just fatigue. I started teaching conversational English at a small language school, earning enough to pay for my tiny room and simple meals. The work was satisfying in a way I hadn't expected. My students were eager to learn, grateful for my patience, happy to share their own stories about family and work and dreams for the future. "Teacher Kelvin," one of my students said after class one day, "you seem sad sometimes. You miss Australia." I thought about her question for a long time before answering. "I miss the person I used to be in Australia," I said finally. But maybe that person needed to change. Gradually, I began to understand how thoroughly I'd been set up, not just by Busarin and Somchai, but by my own loneliness and desperation. I'd wanted so badly to believe in love and new beginnings that I'd ignored every warning sign, every red flag, every voice that tried to tell me things were moving too fast. Doug, the Australian expat who'd tried to warn me, found me at the same coffee shop where I'd first met Busarin. "Heard what happened," he said, sitting down without invitation. "Sorry, mate, really am." "You tried to warn me." "Yeah, well, some lessons you can only learn the hard way. Question is, what are you going to do now?" "Keep teaching, keep living. What else can I do? You could go home, borrow money from family, start over in Australia." I shook my head. "This is home now. I don't have anything left in Australia worth going back to." Doug nodded like he understood. "Thailand has a way of keeping you even after it breaks you, maybe especially then." Over the following months, I built a different kind of life, smaller, quieter, more honest. I learned to cook simple Thai dishes, made friends with my neighbors, found routines that brought me small daily pleasures, reading books borrowed from other expats, swimming in the moat around the old city, watching sunset from the mountain temples. I never saw Busarin again, though I heard rumors. Someone said she'd moved to Phuket, working at an upscale resort. Someone else claimed she'd married a German businessman and moved to Europe. I hoped for her sake that she'd found something real, something that didn't require lying and stealing and breaking hearts. The hardest part wasn't the money or the changed circumstances. It was learning to trust myself again. Every decision felt uncertain. Every new person I met seemed potentially dangerous. The confidence I'd built over 52 years of life had been shattered along with my bank account. But slowly, carefully, I started rebuilding. Not the same confidence I'd had before, something more cautious but also more genuine. I learned to read people differently, to listen for the spaces between words, to pay attention when actions didn't match promises. 6 months after losing everything, I met another teacher at the language school, a British woman named Sarah, 55 years old, divorced, smart, funny, completely uninterested in my financial situation because she had her own money and her own reasons for being in Thailand. "You seem like someone with a story," she said over coffee after our first conversation. "Everyone here has a story," I replied. "Yes, but some stories are more expensive than others." I laughed, surprised to discover I still could. Mine was very expensive. Want to tell me about it? And slowly, carefully, I did. Not because I was looking for sympathy or romance, but because holding secrets is exhausting, and sometimes you need to speak your truth to someone who won't judge you for it. Sarah listened without offering easy comfort or simple solutions. When I finished, she was quiet for a long moment. "So, what did you learn?" she asked finally. "That love and money don't mix. That desperation makes you stupid. That Thailand can be paradise or hell depending on how honestly you're willing to see it. And which is it for you now?" I thought about my small room, my modest work, my careful friendships, my growing understanding of myself and this complex country I'd chosen to call home. "It's real," I said. "Maybe that's better than paradise." Now, a year later, I have a life that fits me. Not the life I planned, not the comfortable retirement I'd saved for, but something authentic and sustainable. I teach English to students who remind me daily that hope and hard work matter more than bank balances. I live simply, spend little, appreciate much. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I'd been smarter, more careful, less trusting. But I think I needed to lose everything to understand what actually mattered. The money was never the point. The point was believing I deserved love and belonging and a place in the world. I still have those things. They just cost less than I thought they would, and they're worth more than I ever imagined. If you're thinking about starting over in a foreign country, about trusting someone with your heart and your money, about building a new life on the foundation of love, let me give you one piece of advice. Be careful who you trust. But don't. Stop trusting altogether. The world is full of people like Busarin and Somchai, but it's also full of people like Sarah and Doug and my students and my neighbors who brought me food when I was too proud to ask for help. The trick is learning to tell the difference. And that education, painful as it is, might be worth more than all the money you could ever save.